Hey, this is George Iceman Gervin, and you're listening to Sweep the League.
Welcome, guys. Welcome. It is another edition of Sweep the League. Rudy Campos Jr. will be joined right here with the Grand Ambassador himself, Coach Gio. Hey, man, we got a lot to get into today. We've got the All-Star festivities, obviously the slam dunk contest, boring as hell again. All-Star game, boring as hell again. We'll get into that talk as well. 3-point contest was pretty cool. We got the Steph and the Sabrina shootout. That was really, really cool. We'll get into a little bit of that talk. Also, Chisme is going to be a little bit about Trae Young, Victor Wembanyama, what we would do in those situations. What do you move? What assets would you trade? Also, why it's so important to keep that 2025 Hawks pick. I know people are saying just to kind of get rid of it. It doesn't matter. Atlanta wants it back. Spurs hold all the cards regardless of what people say. We'll get into that talk as well as some other NFL talk. You know how we do it. We sweep the league every single time here. At Sweep the League. Funny, right? I said it twice. Here we're going to bring in the brand ambassador himself, Mr. Gio. Coach, what's up, man? How was your weekend?
It was a good weekend, low key, relaxed, and ready to get this day started. You know what's interesting today, Rudy? So I was working. I know you don't think I work from home, but I was working and I noticed nobody was online working. Comes to my conclusion that today's President's Day.
Yeah, it is President's Day, man. I don't know what happened. We had a little glitch there or something. I don't know what happened there. But President's Day, I'm actually working. So I work today, but I'm on my lunch break right now. I take my lunch break to do this festive show that we have. And I'm sure, people are going to be able to join because they're on lunch break or they're not working today or whatever. But of course, we cannot start a show without Tim in here always saying Blue Devils, woo, the ACC runs through Tar Heel country. Laugh out loud. I know. It's pretty pathetic. No, Chris is saying he doesn't have the energy to talk All-Star game. I don't have a whole lot of energy to talk the All-Star game. We're just going to kind of criticize it like everybody
We can talk about the Saints if you want.
Says, well, that was Chris Lejas, the Saints fan. I don't think Chris was the Saints fan. Yeah. I mean, there's not
much
there's not much about the Saints anyway, from what I'm understanding, man. Man, so funny thing is, I'm probably going to get a phone call from Joe about this, and it's going to be kind of funny. So, apparently, like YouTube is copyright pissed off about us using something, so we're trying to figure out what it is. I'm kind of limited on what I can actually play as far as music or anything. So we might be suspended, Gio. I don't know. We're 1 week in, and we might get a suspension here. I have no idea.
Is it one of the sounds you use?
I don't know. I mean, if I'm relegated to fart sounds, I can do fart sounds all afternoon. I don't care.
I guess we're gonna have to make up our own little sound clips so then you can repeat.
Yeah, I guess if there's sounds of my own, right? I can probably just make fart sounds or whatever with my mouth. Or I can do all that. But hey, bro, I guess Tim wants you to break down Jared McCain's performance last Saturday. Did you happen to catch it? I didn't catch anything. If you didn't catch it, that's okay, Tim.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch a good amount, so I'm probably not your best bet right now. But I mean, at the end of the day, the Duke did win, so didn't get a chance to watch a good amount. I saw clips here and there, but it was not a busy weekend. But I was not at the house, so didn't get a chance.
Man, such a Blue Devil fan you are. Of course, you only look at them when they're winning titles and winning games.
Rudy, if you go on my Facebook, right? Go to the search within the page. You can type in Duke. You'll see I've posted about Duke all throughout the year. So there's no bandwagon or anything like that. I'm pretty sure, Rudy, you don't catch every Tar Heel game.
I don't, especially when they suck. I tend not to watch it as often. I mean, it's not like Cowboy fans who you have to go back to MySpace to see, any type of success they're having.
Well, it's kind of like baseball. It's like it's hard. It's hard to watch every game. Like
I get it.
There's just so many games. College basketball a little bit different, but no, I haven't been able to watch that full game. But I'm sure he played well, as he's one of their better players. So
Derek Gervin's going to be back Wednesday. He had something to do today, so he'll be back on Wednesday and Friday. Rock actually is having some car issues, so he's getting his car fixed. So it's Gio and I.
Did he did he pay his bill?
He had phone problems. Now he's got car problems. I don't know if it's the Sweep the League curse, man. It's going around everywhere or something like that. I have no idea.
Bill, we need you to make sure you're driving.
He's driving while he's trying to get on the damn phone. That's probably what it is. He's cursing that damn car of his, man.
Rock.
We got to kick off, man. Okay, so we promised Spurs Chisme was going to kick it off, so let's kick it off. We have a new video with Speedster. I hope YouTube doesn't kick us off for this because this is a personal thing. We created this right here. That was so funny. That was so hilarious because we have the Chisme segment uploaded, and it's going to be one of those weeks. I hope really not, man. Let me get the soundbite here because I got to play the soundbite. That's.
So, like, I hear about the Spurs this y Spurs that, y como que esto y esta, pero I never hear about the real Spurs Chisme. Dime, por favor.
All right, thank you, Chisme Girl herself, Sweep the League Chisme Girl, for dropping that. Okay, so man, check this out. You saw the whole Trae Young, Victor Wembanyama type thing this weekend. Trae was gushing over Victor as if they have been going out for 10 years, man. I mean, it's there's no loss at that as well. But the thing is I'm going to ask you a stupid question, Gio, and I want you to give me your honest answer. When I first saw that, the first thing I thought of was, is that considered a form of tampering?
It's possible.
Do you think the NBA looks into it? I mean, for real, I'm being dead serious with that.
I mean, they may do their, they're behind closed doors. It's
rock crash.
It's interesting. I mean, we heard a lot about Trae Young this weekend to the Spurs. It's been kind of heating up. So I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, the NBA does, I'm sure, their own investigations on the back end if they warrant, but I think they'll leave it alone. But you never quite know on the NBA side.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, I remember I immediately texted Jeff Garcia when I saw it, and I said, is this a form of tampering? And he really couldn't really say if it was. I mean, the NBA is so picky when it comes to players talking to each other, kind of stuff happening here and there. It's kind of tough because it's like, it's friends talking amongst friends, but I mean, it can go as far as tampering, but it also can be considered recruiting. And Chris Gonzalez is in here as well. Thank you, Chris, for chiming in. They consider that tampering the way you do Braun, Wade, and Bosch. Again, that kind of goes back to those days too. I mean, they were all talking, I'm sure, about how that, but I think wasn't back with Braun, Wade, and Bosch. They never really came out in the media and said that. It was kind of more behind closed doors, if I'm not mistaken, to where reporters asking Trae, and Trae didn't necessarily say, that's the thing. It can't be, is it tampering? Because he didn't come out and say, oh, yeah, I want to play for the Spurs. And, me and Victor are talking about playing together or anything like that. They basically said what kind of player, would benefit from playing Victor as one that can win in championships. But already previously to this comment, he had, everybody's been talking about Trae to San Antonio. It was in the media. A lot of media guys were actually saying, there's some smoke to this or some fire to this. Then you come to the All-Star break and they ask him the question. He's kind of gushing. Again, you can't really take emotions and feelings into it. But can the NBA really look at it and say, we kind of got to look at this a little bit? Honestly, personally, I don't think there's a case for it. It just kind of came up as a possible tampering thing from what I was reading. There's no source behind it or anything. But again, the NBA is kind of wishy-washy. I don't know, man. I mean, is there enough fire and smoke for this to even
I don't think there's enough fire, Rudy. I just think there's a ton of smoke. And I mean, look, you could tell he was kind of gushing with that answer. I mean, look, Atlanta right now, he's probably gone, Rudy. The Hawks are going to have to probably shape this team up to be very different, maybe draft picks in the future. But Trae Young in San Antonio just keeps getting hot. And I hope it keeps going. And the Spurs can obviously land Trae, but I think there's just a lot of smoke right now. Would have been great to see it in the trade deadline, but obviously that didn't happen. So,
who do you think's more at fault for the trade deadline, Atlanta or San Antonio? I mean, there was so much behind it. There was so much hype behind it, and it seemed like it was about to happen.
Probably the Spurs. It's a tough call. I mean, do the Spurs want to pull the plunge and just wait till the offseason? Or is it Atlanta? Maybe they wanted a lot back. If I was my guess, I would say Atlanta. Maybe they think they can make a playoff push. Not that anything's going to happen with that run. So,
do you really think that Atlanta will make a playoff push? I mean, with all this right here, I mean, it's kind of. I don't see it happening, man. Not with Atlanta.
No.
There.
Maybe that's what they're thinking, or if they think Trae would prefer to stay. I don't know. Right now, maybe for all we know, Rudy, nothing wasn't discussed, and us Spurs fans are making something out of something.
So basically, what we're looking at here is I can probably bring it up here. So we're gonna look at Trae Young's contract here, and we can definitely get into this real quick. We are talking about Trae Young, Victor Wembanyama, the whole bit that was going on. This is the Spurs Chisme episode right here. This is the Wemby outfit on Friday night was classic. It really was the cowboy outfit, man. That was pretty cool right there. Atlanta's looking at this, man. So going into the offseason, Trae's basically guaranteed a little over 43 million. 25, 26, 45 million. And then I believe he's got a player option for 48 in the 26, 27 season. So you're guaranteed at least 2 seasons with Trae if you get him in the offseason. Now, salary-wise for the San Antonio Spurs, we can bring that up here. You're looking, okay, what do you have to move? Obviously, you're probably going to have to move Keldon Johnson. That's 19 million there. You still have another 20 million, maybe 26 million to get rid of. You've got to probably throw in, Zach Collins is probably going to be in there. Whatever else you can get, Devontae Graham may be in there. You've got to find ways to make that happen. So as it is right now, salary cap wise, it's very difficult to make it happen. It's super difficult. You may have to get a third team involved somehow. But ideally, it's super difficult because you know what? You're going to probably have to move a Keldon and a Devin just to make it work cap wise.
I mean, Rudy, how's the Hawks this bad? Or with all these high price items and I mean, there's several games under 500, which is pretty ridiculous to the 10th seed right now. I mean, Rudy, look, it's probably Keldon for sure. And then the other guy, man, I really like Vassell a lot. To put him on as part of that package, that's the tough thing. Or,
I mean, you're looking at it right now. Okay, so Keldon is at 19 going into the offseason next year. Now, obviously, you're not trading Victor. Devontae's 12, but he's coming on an expiring contract. So I think Devontae makes sense because you have an expiring contract right there.
Throw Zach Collins in there.
Well, I mean, yeah, you're probably going to have to throw a Zach Collins. So right there alone is enough to do the trade deal. You may have to throw one more person in there. Probably, they're going to probably want a younger guy. So you're probably going to have to give up maybe a Malachi Branham, somebody like that, to make the salaries work to get Trae back. But the most important thing is those draft picks, man. I think I see 90, maybe not 90, let's say about 70, 80% of people out there saying, you got to give Atlanta their pick back. I don't buy that. I'm calling bull on that. You don't want to give Atlanta their pick back.
No.
It's so valuable.
You want to keep that as much as you can.
If you're moving on from Trae Young, Atlanta's going to be a lottery team. So what do you do as the Spurs? You're talking, okay, give them the 2024 draft pick. Now, the potential of them having 2 first-rounders this season is good. It's possible. So 2 first this year, Spurs next year, that's 3.
It sounds like, Rudy, they need a third team. It's possible the Spurs may go the third team route, right? And get a third team in there to really kind of balance it out. Because right now, I mean, we can point at players, but listen, I know you talk about the summer of 2025, Rudy, but Spurs need to have butts in the seats. And from what I've been seeing this season, It hasn't been really good basketball outside of Victor and a few other guys really playing. So,
I mean, to be real, man, there's no. I've said it on many occasions, and I know it's pissing people
this
off.
team has 11 wins, Rudy. It's ridiculous.
But what made you going into the season thinking this team was going to be that much better? I know you added Victor, but outside of Victor, what made anyone think this team was going to be that much better?
Well, I was not amongst those people who thought the Spurs would make the postseason. I thought maybe 20 something wins could be realistic, and they could. It's possible that they could still get the 20 wins, possibly 25. But at this point, it's a team. I mean, Rudy, you live in the area. Are Spurs fans going to these games?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been to a game yet, but I think that I mean, they're getting some decent crowds, and obviously Victor helps a whole lot. He brings in the crowds.
Rudy, if Victor wasn't here, oh Lord,
you think the team moves?
Rudy, honestly, if Victor wasn't there, this team this season, and maybe hindsight, they would have done something else and brung another body in, but it would have been really even worse than what it is this year. But no, Victor's the attraction. I know Spurs aren't going nowhere, but landing Victor kind of guarantees Spurs aren't moving anywhere.
No, they'll still be here. And, we have LRM in here. Should have been better than last year. You would think that the Spurs team would have been better last year adding Victor Wembanyama. But, again, I mean, you look at Keldon. I've always felt Keldon's already hit that ceiling. I don't know how much more he can go. I think Devin is already scratching that ceiling. He can maybe go a little higher, but how much more higher? Jeremy, out of the three, Jeremy's the only one that can still kind of rise up a little bit more. But, in talking to a couple of guys, actually talking to a couple of players, that have retired, older NBA guys, they kind of feel the same way with Jeremy. It's kind of like, has he plateaued to a point already? I mean, not a great scorer coming into the league. People raved about his defense. People kind of raved about his basketball IQ, but that can only get you so far, can it? I mean, you got three guys, your three main guys, Jeremy, Keldon, Devin. I mean, if they're already scratching the ceiling, Gio, what more can you do now with this team? There's not very much more you can do at all.
No, and look, getting free agents was already harder enough, right? To get to San Antonio. At least you got Victor now. Things will definitely change, but if they have another dismal year next year, 2025 just seems so far away.
It does, man. It really does. This is what's up?
I mean, Rudy can run for president in 2025, right? So a lot can change.
Presidency is 2024. So
whatever.
Can't run that. This is Sweep the League. Rudy Campos, Gio. Derek will be back on Wednesday. He'll be back on Wednesday and Friday. And actually, hey, man, I got to give a quick shout out, brother, here. Shout out here. So watching from the Lids in San Marcos. So I was there Sunday, yesterday, as a matter of fact. Louis Luna, he's in San Marcos. This is a cap. I bought this cap yesterday from Lids. So thank you guys out there from Lids and San Marcos. Big shout out there. We're going to be giving away a Lids gift card here pretty soon. I was waiting for 1,000 subscribers here. We're getting there. But I think this week we're going to give a Lids gift card out to one lucky member. You got to be a subscribing member on the YouTube channel. Go to YouTube, Alamo City Podcast Network. We'll give somebody a $25 Lids gift card to go get you a fire San Antonio Spurs hat. Or you can wait till the summer of 2024 and see if they don't do anything and go win 12 games next year. And then maybe the Spurs hats will be even more discounted. I have no idea. But definitely we'll get something for Liz out there. Man, we got our first fire pop. Shout out to Louis Luna out there. Fire pop or move him to the front office. We hadn't seen a comment like this yet on the show. We finally got our first fire pop comment. I think we got to now don't give me the you need to fire pop because it's kind of hard to fire pop. We just saw them basically fire quote unquote fire Bill Belichick, we know it's possible for them to move on from Pop. But the NBA is a little different, dude.
I think it's getting there, Rudy. Maybe not as we speak, but the whole Pop. Look, a lot of players talk about how great he is, and he's a great coach. He's won championships, yada yada. But a lot of them don't want to play for him, Rudy. I mean, let's be real. I don't think Kevin Durant is salivating at the mouth to come to San Antonio. I mean, LaMarcus Aldridge did come, and there was some success there. But, I mean, outside of some of these LaMarcus, Rudy, and can you give me another Spurs? I mean, what big-time free agent
nobody
has come besides LaMarcus? Everyone else is homegrown.
Nobody, dude. The problem, okay, so I think you and I have gone back and forth on this for a long time. LeBron James, Kevin Durant. I mean, everybody, I love Pop. Pop's a great coach. Man, playing for Pop in the Olympics is fantastic. You learn so much. You know, Pop this, Pop that, Pop everywhere. Oh, but when free agency comes, San Antonio's at the bottom of the list. So Pop holds no water on anything. I don't care. I would love playing for Pop too, but if I'm going to go get my nut in Los Angeles and all this money, have all the fame, why am I going to pass that up? I'll go play for Frank Vogel before I go play for Pop. I mean, to me, that makes no sense, but it's a fact, dude. Nobody wants to play for Pop. And again, I can say, I don't know why, but I do know why. Nobody likes that system.
I think it's a little bit of Pop, and I might get some slack for this.
Get all the slack. Bring all the fire.
I've been to San Antonio. I think it's a really good city, but really, I just don't know if people are really, glamorizing playing for a city that maybe doesn't have the attraction, like maybe in LA, right, in New York, or Brooklyn. Do you think it's Pop and also just the market itself? Because it is a small market somewhat, right? I mean,
it's a small market, but again, it's like the 7th largest city in the United
States.
Because
Oklahoma City, right? I mean, they struck gold, obviously, with Kevin Durant and Westbrook, and they've built they got a really good up-and-coming team, and they got a star there who, wasn't he with the Clippers already? And we'll talk about that another day, but I think it's Pop, also the city itself. But yeah, Pop, no one's really, I got to go play for Pop. Listen, these players don't want to play for a military-style coach, really. It's just, it is what it is.
It's a different NBA. It's not the old NBA, where, you had guys like Pop. You had guys like Jerry Sloan. I mean, these
and
guys.
Jerry Sloan got kicked. He basically got kicked out.
Deron Williams.
Thrown out of the league because of his situation with Williams. But what was his first name? Do you remember the Williams?
Deron Williams.
Yeah. So
Deron Williams is the reason why.
The whole situation there. We have other guys. I mean, Larry Brown has, I think he last coached the Knicks, but a lot of these coaches are just not doing well.
It's funny because you're talking about coaches, and like you said, Jerry Sloan, Larry Brown, a lot of these guys are not coaching anymore. And Deron Williams was a good reason why. I mean, he basically ran Jerry Sloan out of Utah. I mean, Jerry Sloan can't control. That's the same thing but it goes back to the players, Gio. I mean, these players, a lot of them, they don't want to play. Let's be real. They don't want to play organized ball. They don't want to play, a lot of team ball in a way.
It's different. The days of the 90s, Rudy's, the 80s, and even some of the 2000s, that's long gone. It's just not the type of NBA, not the product, right? Mm-hmm. Very two different commissioners, David Stern, right? And then you have what's happening now. It's a player. I mean, the players run the league, really.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about the players running the asylum, but you know what I mean? It's just the players run this league, and if they want to sit out, they say, listen, Kawhi Leonard, Rudy, He barely played last night in the All-Star game. I mean, some of these guys barely played, didn't care. Luka out here missing dunks. I mean, it was just one of those things where it is hard. A lot of basketball that we saw, we see that a lot in today's game, Rudy. A lot of this no defense, guys going up and down. We see that a lot of that today's game, and playoff basketball is obviously a bit different. Teams do attempt to play defense, but it's just a different time. I mean, look at this. Carmelo Anthony was talking about George Karl. George Karl comes in and says, "Hey, you're overrated, bud." Carmelo's like, damn, like I get that I need to imagine George Karl, Rudy, going into some freaking locker room right now and calling a player, a rising player, dude, you're overrated. Just imagine that, Rudy.
Truth be told, is George wrong? I mean, Carmelo Anthony is a great scorer, but what else can he do? Answer me that.
I think he actually played a decent amount of defense. I mean, was he all world? No. At the time, the NBA was still going through its transition stage. But I mean, I think Carmelo, I don't know what year George got there. Was his second? I think his second year, right? When he got to
I believe so, yeah.
To Denver. But just imagine George. All right, George goes into the Timberwolves and tells Anthony Edwards, "You're overrated, bud." I mean, think about his time with the Kings. How long did that last? Didn't last very long when he was a coach there because he was butting heads with Cousins. So, it's just a different league, and the 90s, really, that's never coming back. Just like the Attitude Era in wrestling, that's not coming back, Rudy.
Yeah, it's a different type of society too. I mean, when it comes to Attitude Era, but nonetheless, man. I mean, Tim Gonzalez is, everybody's in here making great points. Appreciate all you good guys in here. It's this Sweep the League. We come to you Monday through Friday, from 2 to 3:30 Central Standard Time on YouTube. Go to YouTube, search Alamo City Podcast Network, smash that subscribe button. You can join us every single day. Derek Gervin is going to be back on Wednesday and Friday. You're putting up with Coach Gio and I. Also, don't forget, Joe and Micah Jimenez are Alamo City Sportscast every single morning. They start your day off from 10:15 to 11:30. Don't forget Brandon Medina, Generation Duo. That podcast always gets released on the Alamo City Podcast Network as well. Great things coming up here on the Alamo City Podcast Network. This is Coach Gio and Rudy Campos. Sweep the League, man. We got a lot of great people in here. Josh Jimenez made a comment earlier. So what are you talking about? You mean the NBA players ain't trying to come to San Antonio for Six Flags and SeaWorld? Hell, man. Six Flags and SeaWorld, that's gone way downhill. Like super way downhill. I don't even know.
Well, really, it's also some of the knock is that's one of the reasons why they can't get a football team. Now, that also
that's
has to be fucking Jerry. That's Jerry's ass saying, hell no. But
Jerry's a greedy motherfucker. I'll tell you that.
I do think, though, it's possible. Maybe 10, 15 years. I'm sure Jerry's going to,
don't say it. Don't say it.
God forbid. I'm just saying. The man's not getting any younger. All right.
He's not getting any younger, but you don't want to say that. That's kind of
so
wrong.
Jerry, look, for Spurs, great food, good city. I wouldn't mind having an NFL team, though, in San Antonio. I think it could do well, Rudy. But I believe they need a stadium, right? Like they can't use the Alamo Dome. So
they technically can. I mean, we're gonna find out because there's USFL, XFL coming, back to the Dome. We can technically see maybe the potential. Now, do they need a new stadium, a new dome for football? Yeah, but here's the problem, Gio, is the biggest problem we have is the same thing that we have for the Spurs. Where do you put a new arena? Where do you put a new stadium? San Antonio is not a big enough city to where you can just throw a stadium downtown. I mean, you'd have to demolish a whole lot of shit downtown just to put up a brand new stadium. And it's so compact, man, that it's really tough to even do anything downtown. So I don't know, man. I mean, it's kind of one thing or another when it comes to the Spurs. I tell you what, man, people are chiming in left and right when it comes to the new era of NBA basketball. We saw it last night with the whole NBA All-Star game. First time we've seen 200 points in an NBA game like that. I mean, wow, dude. it was already unwatchable for me. And again, you have half the crowd. It's an NBA All-Star game. Let them have fun. Score 200. Who cares? You have the other crowd. Where's the defense? 200 points is it's overboard. And you had one shining moment last night. That shining moment was Adam Silver, when he kind of basically said, well, you scored the most points. Congratulations. Here's your trophy. I kind of laughed because I didn't see the game, Gio, but I saw that comment. I saw the comment, and I'm staring at Adam Silver like, dude, seriously, not only do you look like Mac from Mac and Me, but you're the reason why this league is like this. Ever since he took control of this game, the scoring has just gone ridiculous. You see a lot more shit getting away with. Now you have the whole gather step. Don't even get me started on the gather step. It's an effing travel. I mean, you see more travel.
Does that,
bro? When you're doing this on every dribble and you're palming and carrying the ball, and it doesn't get called. Adam Silver, you're the reason why this game has gone from respectable to garbage. You're one of the reasons why.
Yeah, Adam, look, he's done a lot of good things. The world game, all that stuff. Money's been good for the NBA players. A lot of goods have happened. Unfortunately, though, really, there's no hand checking, right? There's no physical. Now, hand checking went away before Adam Silver, but as his reign, hey, try to make the game a little bit more physical, right, Rudy? Put some stuff in play. Allow guys to hand check. Allow some certain things to maybe not necessarily dilute the product from what people are seeing now, but to really, man, I mean, look, call me old. I'm 30-something. But when you put some of those 90s games on, Rudy, there's some physical games. I'm not saying beating up people, right? Mm-hmm. But there was a book called The Jordan Rules. I mean, they put that man through hell. Look, physical. We need a little bit more physical. We got guys shooting threes from half court. No one's contesting them. Yeah, Rudy, it's so Chris Gonzalez says I blame AAU. That he's right though, Rudy.
100%.
There's a lot of that has started with AAU ball.
100% has started with
entitlement,
AAU.
Rudy. Entitlement.
It's funny because you treat the AAU players like they are superstars and they are NBA players at, the age of like 15 and 16. I mean, the AAU basketball program, I loved it when it was a developmental type thing for high schoolers. Gave them another league to play in. You could travel. I coached AAU basketball way back when. Nothing is compared to what it is now. And honestly, I couldn't coach AAU ball right now, Joe. There ain't no way. Because back then I was getting parents telling me, hey, I'm trusting you to get my son to the next level. And I look at the parents like, it's not my responsibility. I can't make your son practice 24 hours a day and get better. We practice this time. We play the games. If your son does great, by all means, he does great. But I'm not guaranteeing that he's going to get to the collegiate level. Hell, I don't even guarantee he'll play varsity basketball. You put him in AAU, you put him in AAU to compete with other AAU players. I don't guarantee anything. These days, if you play AAU, and I've seen it, AAU ball, you're expecting to get to that next level. Now you're traveling all around the country to play and shit. Dude, that is unheard of, man. Like AAU ball is just, it's terrible.
Really, it's become a business, right? When money is involved, it's a business. And I mean, look, even the NBA, the slam dunk, Rudy. No disrespect, no disrespect to the winner. But Rudy, do you know what league he plays in? He plays in the G League.
Yeah.
Where are the stars? The 3-point shootout. All right, that was cool. But the slam dunk, Rudy, where are the stars at? I'm watching just a bunch of guys.
Jaylen Brown only made the finals because he's an all-star. He did not, dude. That was shit. Jaylen Brown's dunks were shit. Compared to Toppin, and even compared to Jaquez. Jaylen Brown's dunks were shit. I
He
mean,
had some oomph to him, so I think maybe that's what.
What oomph did he have? I mean, the guy tried to recreate a D Brown dunk and didn't.
And he didn't even do it right away. I know he didn't even.
Yeah, he closed his eyes after he was on the ground and he looked at the camera for a while.
Real late. So
I mean, this
I
is
don't. This is just not good.
No, it's not. And you know what? The Drew Show is right. Love you, Drew Show. You know, thank you again. You gave us a super chat. Everybody wants to drop a super chat. Drop a super chat. We'll read your comment on here and everything. We'll give you some love. It says the whole weekend was a shit show. I know it's a shit show. NHL has the best All-Star game. Ding. Then MLB. Ding. Then NFL. NBA is dead last. It's worse than the abomination of the non-Hawaiian Pro Bowl. NBA is dead last. I could not agree more with the Drew Show. NHL, I give props. Throughout the years, Gio, I've become a little bit more of an NHL fan.
You are. The Kraken, right? The
Seattle Krakens, yes, the Seattle Krakens. And before that, I followed the Vegas Knights, the Golden Knights. I mean, I'm starting to watch more NHL because it's more exciting. The All-Star games that they have for that it's way better. The competitions they have are way better. Then after that, he's right. MLB All-Star, fantastic. You can't go wrong with the home run derby. I don't
know.
The home run derby.
No. Yeah, you can't go wrong. I have to agree. The NBA is dead last, but they're right there with the NFL though. Already, they're like the Pro Bowl is also pretty much a joke.
Well, yes, but to where the Pro Bowl takes over the NBA, at least the NFL had enough balls and enough, testosterone in their ball sacks to make a change. They made it flag football. So why? You don't want to get hurt in a Pro Bowl game. So they said, you know what? Okay, let's stop from getting hurt. Let's make it flag football. I'm 100% cool with that. It's actually been a little bit more exciting with flag football. Now, NBA, you can't do flag NBA. There's nothing with that. But I mean, there's nothing you can do to change this All-Star game to give me pants rigor mortis. There's nothing.
No. I mean, it's and look, the Pro Bowl for years was in Hawaii. That has changed. I do know that Aloha Stadium, Rudy, I believe they're going to build a new stadium. So it's possible Pro Bowl could get back to Hawaii years down the line. But yeah, the NBA, it's just guys they're just jacking up shots. And hey, look, I mean, I'll say this, it was fine to watch, but I mean, Luka, Jokic, those guys didn't even want to be there. Like, you could just tell. Yeah. Jokic doesn't really want to be anywhere, to be honest with you. He just shows up so he doesn't get fined. But nothing has to be done here. I agree with Tim. Slam dunk was terrible, Rudy. I'll say this though, the G League guy, he's good. Like he can. Last year he did put on a pretty good show.
Last year's show was better by my count. 100%.
It was definitely better, but that dunk where he, I think, did he lift the ball up twice, Rudy, right? Something like that.
What he did was he grabbed it, let it go, grabbed it, dunked it. It was kind of like a double type thing. Now that was impressive. Yeah. That was super impressive. I give that props. It was super, super impressive.
We need Victor next year, Rudy. We need Victor in there.
Victor made the comment. He wants to participate in both the 3-point and the slam dunk.
Yeah.
So, again, you got to create – the slam dunk starts with the stars. You got to have the stars in it. And if not, you need to go back and just get the amateurs.
Rudy, do we know why they can't get stars?
I don't know. And you know what?
It's just pay. Is it just pay? Is that what we're talking about?
I don't think so, man. I really don't think so at all, to be honest with you.
I just don't understand why. Look, the fans pay, Rudy, right? They pay to watch these games. Hey, give the fans something. The best slam dunkers in America, or whatever you want to call it, come in, the stars align, and let's have a day where we have Victor, the kid from the Timberwolves. I thought Edwards would have been good. I mean, so many guys that could have just, hey, you know what, just practice throughout the year and then just show up. I mean, I don't know why it's so hard. We got a G League guy. The G League guy won, Rudy, 2 years in a row. He's not even in the NBA. No disrespect.
Like,
he can dunk.
to be honest, man, Mac McClung this year was not that good. This
No.
dunk contest went even further down. Chris Gonzalez asking about the Stadium Series. I caught a little bit of it. That was Philadelphia, New Jersey. I believe in one of them where New Jersey won. The other one to help me out here was the Rangers Islanders?
And the Islanders?
I think it was Rangers Islanders. I did catch a little bit of it this weekend. I really did.
The Islanders game, because I had some
wasn't that the overtime? They went to overtime game on that one.
I do bet some hockey occasionally. So I had a game, I think it was 6-5, Rudy, I believe.
Yes, I believe it was 6-5 Islanders Rangers. I think the Rangers won that game, if I'm not mistaken.
Something like that.
And that's what's cool is that, hockey does this. And you know what? The NBA decided, hey, we're going to do an in-season tournament. Okay, I get it. But then you treated the in-season champions as if they were freaking world champs, man. Presentation of the trophy, and that.
It's so hard because with hockey, you can have those fun experience. And in baseball, Rudy, they have the Field of Dreams, right? They'll play.
The game.
That's actually pretty cool. Like, I would love to see more of that in baseball where there's different venues that hadn't had a baseball game in a long time. It'd be really cool to do that. And some areas that don't have a baseball team, right? Like Iowa, I don't know, South Dakota, whatever the case may be. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. Hey, so you're listening to Sweep the League, Rudy Campos and Gio. We're with you Monday through Friday, 2 to 3:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. We appreciate everybody jumping on. We got Locked On Spurs in here. They left a question. We're going to get to that question here in a little bit. On the flip side, we're going to take a little break here. Derek will be back Wednesday. The Rock's having car trouble. Funny, he was calling us last week while in the car, and all of a sudden Monday he texted me, I have car trouble. It's like, okay, well, hopefully everything's cool. And earlier somebody asked, was Rock in a car crash? No, Rock was not in a car crash. He's doing really fine. He's just having some car trouble. We're going to hit you guys up here in a little bit. We're going to get all your questions answered. We're going to take a little break here from MCS General Contracting. We'll be back.
MCS General Contracting, more than 30 years of combined experience in concrete placement. They are the best in the business, honest pricing, high quality work. They get going on house foundations, driveways, concrete patio decks. If you want to extend the deck, extend the driveway. If you're a business and you need to put together a slab, a parking lot, or other concrete placement services or sidewalks, reach out to MCS General Contracting at 210-774-9155. They're confident in their skills, so give Chris Leha over at MCS General Contracting a call at 210-774-9155. And thank you for being a sponsor of this show.
Yeah, shout out to Chris Leha, man, MCS General Contracting, where they build the biggest decks in the business. That's never going to get old, man. That's never going to get old. Sweep the League comes to the Alamo City Podcast Network, part of the Alamo City Podcast Network on YouTube. Smash that subscribe button as well. Hey, we're going to get to more of your chats here, man. So before we got off onto a break, Locked On Spurs, Jeff Garcia, good friend of the show. We're going to get Jeff on here again here really soon. He's asking, Rudy, knowing the NBA All-Star Game weekend is boring, which it really is boring, is a good thing the SA has not gotten one since the 90s. Jeff, I'm going to say that it sucks because no matter how boring an All-Star weekend or game is, it's the fact that you give the fans the opportunity to have every single star in one spot, and you have a chance to meet all these players instead of going to a Spurs game and, hey, we're going to see the Bucks and the Spurs tonight. This is my chance to get to see Giannis. Well, if you have an All-Star game back in San Antonio, you've got Giannis, you've got Bron, you've got all these guys all in one spot. So I think it'd be a good thing to get us All-Star game back into San Antonio to give back to the fans, to give them a chance to see their favorite player. Last time was here, man, storage, and I don't tell tall tales like Michael Jimenez does. I'm actually there. Back in, when the All-Star game was here, I got to meet Master P. He was filming a commercial on the Riverwalk, so I got his autograph there. Not only that, man, I got to meet a lot of people. There was the World Game, which was the high school summit game, I believe. You had a lot of the high school players at the time. Was one of my favorite high school players back then was Sebastian Telfair. That shows you how luck is. But that was J.R. Smith, Josh Smith, Dwight Howard. He didn't appear that day. He was supposed to play. Jordan Farmar was another guy that was playing. A lot of great young talent there. I got to meet a lot of them. I got to meet Chris Mullin. And funny story, I asked Chris Mullin for his autograph, and he looked at me like this little fat kid needs to get out of my face. Kind of gave me that and signed it and walked away. That was terrible, man. I know. I got to meet Matt Doherty. I got to meet Jerry.
Oh, wow.
West. Yeah, Jerry West was another one I got to meet. Just a lot of different people that you were able to meet at that Summit basketball game that was held over, I believe it was at UTSA, if I'm not mistaken. Got to meet everybody there. Met Cynthia Cooper. But, I mean, nonetheless, I think an all-star game back in San Antonio would be fantastic for the fans. Is it great to go to? Again, pay your money, watch it, do whatever. It's just a game. But as far as the actual game itself, it's always going to be terrible unless they change it, man.
Well, yeah. I mean, right now it looks like 2024, obviously we had Indianapolis, and then 2025 San Francisco. So
how about this? If the Stars don't participate in any event, they get a fine. That's a little overboard, I think, with Tim. I don't think you can fine players for doing that. As it is, you think the PAs, the NBA PA is probably going to be like, yeah, that ain't going to work. How about making the NBA All-Star game more of netball, remove the backboard? Ooh, that would be pretty interesting. But then it goes back to, well, how are we supposed to shoot, our 50-footers and off the backboard? And, we can't do this, we can't do that. It just makes more crying.
Well, the Pro Bowl used to have those skill competitions, which I know they still have a good amount of, but the whole throwing competition where you bring old NFL players like Dan Marino, I think the NBA needs to do a little bit more. And whether that's having an extra day, maybe a Thursday through Sunday, that would be nice. Do you think San Antonio gets an All-Star game up until not anytime soon, right? 20.
No, I don't think they get. Okay, you know what? Oh God,
They will eventually, but I don't know if it's going to be in this.
Call me dumb, because I think they get one now that Victor is in the league and the impact he's having on the league. I think they do get one. Let's be real. I think they will get an All-Star game now. Now, does the All-Star game happen at the Frost Bank Center, or does it go back to the Alamo Dome? That's the question. I think is probably what I'm looking at. I'm not too sure, but
because right now 2025 is San Francisco. 2026 is going to be at the Intuit Dome where the Clippers play, which, by the way, is going to be a beautiful. Isn't it crazy that the Clippers already finally get their own NBA arena after so many years sharing, and that's going to be state of the art. It's going to be a really nice. So Spurs are probably, I'm thinking, the Milwaukee Bucks are trying to get one. Probably 2029, 2030. It's going to be a while, but
it'll be a little while. Chris Gonzalez is saying the Stars do not come out because they don't want to get embarrassed. 100%. I think that's the real reason why. We got a super chat in here. Thank you for the Drew Show, man. Appreciate you so very much. Again, if you want to leave a super chat, leave one for us. We really, truly appreciate it. We will read all your super chats no matter what it says. So from the Drew Show, 2003 All-Star game had Amari Stoudemire, Richard Jefferson, 2004. Rookie LeBron James didn't take part. Everybody following the leader, LeBron, has ruined the NBA. Let's be honest, he's the NBA antichrist. Can we give a react to the Drew Show here? Because we definitely, I'm on board with this. I do not hate LeBron James as a person. He's done so much for the NBA community, for outside of the NBA, Gio. He's a great guy. But since LeBron has been in the league, have we not seen the demise of the NBA? Be real, man, because in my opinion, we've seen the demise of the NBA. Let's go through everything, man. The crybaby issues. Hey, I lost in Cleveland. I'm ripping off my jersey in the Boston Tunnel heading out of this game. You know what? They can all say, well, super teams happened before LeBron. Yes, they did. But a lot of them were built through the draft when it came to super teams back then. A lot of them. Not all of them, a lot of them. But the whole baby mentality has happened with LeBron, Gio.
I don't know. Listen, I'm not the biggest fan of LeBron. I think MJ's the GOAT. We could talk about that in a different discussion. But
I don't think you'll ever get a disagreement with me on that.
But look at this. Sure, he didn't participate in a slam dunk, and a lot of other players did not after him. We did get some good moments in the slam dunk over the years. But I mean, LeBron, I think he's done more good for the league, though. I think there's the new age players that came after LeBron, Westbrook, Durant, who's you got to admit, Rudy, the burner accounts and all that other extra stuff Kevin Durant's done. I think that's worse than what LeBron's done. But there's a lot of other players. Kawhi Leonard, right? Having a mysterious injury nobody doesn't know about. The Spurs are saying it's not a real injury or yada, yada, whatever the hell the case may be. So I think LeBron may have started, but there's been players that have taken it to a whole nother level.
But that's what I'm saying is that LeBron was the reason for a lot of this. And you're right. Players are taking it to a whole new level. It had to start somewhere. It had to start with LeBron. In my opinion, it was LeBron. The NBA demise happened there. Now, it wasn't his rookie year. It wasn't sophomore year or anything like that. But as LeBron started to, I guess, test the waters, in my opinion, then we started seeing other players follow suit. And Drew Show is 100% right, man. He's hitting a nail that a lot of people don't talk about. He's the leader of a lot of the stuff, man. You didn't see players back in the 80s, you didn't see players jumping ship. 90s, you rarely saw players jumping ship. It happens, yeah, but the most significant player to go from one team to another was via a trade. Was it the last time was maybe Charles Barkley from Philadelphia to Phoenix? When you saw like an actual big time Hall of Famer, prime of his career, go, who went to Phoenix during that one time where they had the finals run.
Well, yeah, look, LeBron really changed the scope of player movement, stars teaming up, even though Boston was probably quote unquote the first real trade, right, of a quote unquote like a super team, if you want to call it the big three. But LeBron obviously teamed up with Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, and really empowered player movement. And that's when we saw everybody's been moving. One day they're here, the next day. But I'm fine with the whole player movement, Rudy. I know you're not the biggest fan of it, but to me, if you're Dame Lillard and you've been there for how many years and you don't win, you need to leave.
I get it.
I do understand the beginning process of LeBron going to Cleveland and then the decision, which really pissed people were burning his jersey. So the decision was bad.
That part, yes.
That was terrible.
And that's where the Drew Show, I think, is going with this stuff. A lot of the stuff that LeBron does or did may not have been, it may not have been like, well, I'm not doing it to do this reason or this reason. But the decision, dude, when you decide, Gio, what are you going to do? Well, I think I'm going to go play so-and-so. I'm going to go play here, blah. You don't make it a effing whole reality show or a whole show on ESPN where, hey, this is, Jim Gray. We're talking about the decision. We're going to have LeBron join us here at, Akron YMCA, and he's going to let us know where he's playing. And that'll be 45 minutes from now. So we're going to kind of milk this whole thing. That's the kind of stuff that watered down the NBA. And for me, started saying, okay, this is a very turbulent flight that the NBA is on.
That's the whole. So yeah, the player movement, the decision, the demise of a friend, and then you have the owner Gilbert going writing a whole letter, and then LeBron ends up coming back. That the decision, and I'm sure LeBron or he has agreed it wasn't a really good look, and it made the villains really.
Yeah.
That's
when he became a hated guy in the NBA. The decision.
But you know what? It's better to be a heel than a babyface anyway. So
the Drew Show, man, we appreciate your donation, man. Appreciate it. Again, if you want to leave a super chat, leave a super chat. We definitely read it. We'll definitely debate. We'll discuss it. Appreciate you, Drew Show. Again, big time. Much love. We're going to send the Drew Show some stuff. I'm going to DM him here after the show. We're going to send him some stuff here from Sweep the League. Really good sponsor. Really good, contributor to Sweep the League here. Wemby, Zion, Gordon, other stars presenting the dunk contest. See, that's what I'm talking about. Get fresh guys in here. Wemby says he wants to do it. Can you get Zion to do it? I don't know. Maybe if Zion can lay off some of the food, the fast food, and maybe get his weight down a little bit.
Hey, leave him alone.
To get that. Hey, man, you and I can help Zion lose weight. We've lost weight in our own time here.
Hey, Zion, yeah, the weight's a problem. And I don't know if it's just because he's in New Orleans. And he's talked about it, but it's like, dude, do something. I don't like. He looked good, and then it's just like he gained so much. I don't know if it's the beignets, the crawfish, the gumbo, the po' boy shrimp sandwiches. I mean, I don't know what it is about him. He keeps eating.
You got to give him your health tips, man. You definitely got to give him your health tips. Like, will it have to be where the rodeo changes dates for the All-Star game to come back? No. I think there was a comment in here. Might have been the Drew show. Somebody left a comment that it would definitely. Yeah, it was actually Tim Gonzalez in here. I'll get to that comment. I think the rodeo's fine. You can keep it there. I think what happens is if you get the All-Star game back in San Antonio, it's going to go to the Dome. The NBA is going to probably do it to where, hey, we need to make it a big time event. You can't fit so many people in the Frost Bank Center. You got to remember, with all the fans and all the stars coming out, you're going to have limited seating for some of the fans as well. So open it up to as many fans as possible. I think the Alamo Dome is probably the place to have the All-Star game. Drew Show was back in here. And player empowerment ERA, yes. Tim Gonzalez. I believe Rudy Tell. Wow, that's a tongue twister. I believe Rudy Tell story more than Mike Jimenez. I don't think I have that.
I don't know. Mike he's always got a story to tell, so I'm not sure. Rudy, I don't know. He tells stories, but it's not. Michael has a whole, I don't know. He has like a whole script. It seems like.
Yeah. So Mike's is probably, what is it? God, how do you say it, man? My stuff, I can actually, if I can find pictures that I have picture books, I have pictures of me at that All-Star game when it was here at the summit and stuff, taking pictures of all the players. So I definitely have that. I can prove that once I find that. Mike's stuff is, I don't know, man. That's along the lines of Pinocchio type shit. I don't know if it's true or not. 2026 is in LA where the new arena the Clippers play. Gio did mention that, so they're going to get that. This is where Tim said it. Tim Gonzalez said, hey, if the All-Star game coming back to San Antonio, it would definitely be at the Alamo Dome. I agree 100%. It would definitely be in the Alamo Dome.
The game, I think the event will be at the Alamo Dome, but I don't know, because the Pacer or the game last night was at the Pacer Arena.
Mm-hmm. But again, I mean, you can do the game at the arena at the Center, but they have the rodeo in town. So that's what I'm saying. Everything's got to kind of shift over to the Alamo Dome, which again, it's not that bad. NBA's basic, the basketball teams. Yeah, basketball would be so cool these days. Drew Show, Wemby seems to be the anti-LeBron, aspires to be in the dunk contest, wants to stay in SA. Victor, along with the new cap rule, is a start to NBA renaissance. Again, man, Drew Show is on fire.
I'll say this though. Let's see what Wemby is.
Let's see what?
Let's see what Wemby is in 5 years. His kind of persona, is he a Tim Duncan or is he a Kawhi Leonard? Let's see, Rudy, what happens in 5 years, because you never know. Because for a while we thought Kawhi was a Tim Duncan, Kawhi, and all this, and he still is quiet. And then it went really bad, Rudy, really, really south for Kawhi Leonard. So I'm interested to see where Wemby fits on that. Is he more of a Duncan or is he more of a Kawhi Leonard?
Well, everybody knows right now he's more of a Duncan than a David.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, he's more of that. So
it's fun. It's funny because you got him for minimum 8 years at least. I mean, you got a 4-year rookie deal. And then you can sign him. You can go, is it bird rights? I think. I mean, you got stuff where you can sign him over the cap if need be. So it's not like any team can come in and say, we're going to give you $50 million a year. This person say, we'll give you $52 million a year, $53 million a year. It doesn't matter. We can pay you whatever because we have those rights. So I'm seeing that Wemby stays minimum 8 years, which is 2 full contracts, where I think he'll stay. Again, if he wants out eventually, but that gives the Spurs enough time to build around Wemby. Yeah, I mean, it's going to take them, like I said, 2 years.
Really, the first contract, if the Spurs are still the Spurs, do you think he says, hey, I want out of here?
No, I don't think so.
So in 4 seasons, no playoffs.
LRM thinks he's out. He thinks Wemby is out. That's kind of tough.
In 4 years, Rudy, no playoffs. Mm-hmm. He's getting awards, but the team isn't doing anything. I find it hard to believe he won't say something. I mean, he's already
voiced his opinion.
He's already said, "Hey, we need some better players. We don't need any of these jags. Just another guy on the court, just jacking up shots. Wemby should touch the ball every time, Rudy. When it's offense, he should touch the ball every time."
The old play for Tim Duncan, 4 down in the post, and I agree with you. Wemby should be touching the ball. Okay, you play. I mean, how many minutes he plays? 30 minutes, say roughly 30 minutes a game. 29 of those 30 minutes, that guy needs the ball in his hand. Let him create for your team.
Yeah,
you don't.
That's what.
You know what's sad, Gio? It's so funny to say because you would think in the NBA you make it to the league for a reason because you're good. But this team outside of Wemby has, and I'm going to say it, has no playmakers, dude.
I'm telling you.
None.
I saw this team up close and personal. It was a disaster. It was bad. Zach Collins jacking up shot. Everybody's just jacking up stuff. I said, Wemby should touch the ball every time. Give him the ball.
Yeah.
Devin was out, so give him the ball. Him or Keldon, give him the ball. That's your only offensive weapons at this point in the game. And there were times where Wemby didn't even touch the ball. I'm like, what is this?
I truly don't understand. Jeff, I'm going to get to this comment about Jimenez and the Giannis Adifar thing. I saw it on Twitter, so I definitely want to come back. Tim Gonzalez, the All-Star game comes back to sweep the league when we broadcast live. I will broadcast live at the All-Star game. Best believe I will make something happen. Interview great players, probably some Duke players. Should I let out a story about when the NCAA came to town, Gio?
Sure, go ahead.
One year. So the year of the NCAA, one of the years the NCAA came to town, it was the year that Duke was in town, and they had Luol Deng was there playing. Needless to say, that same year, and it was Oklahoma State Cowboys was here. John Lucas' son was here as well. I met Luol Deng at River Center Mall. I shook his hand, and I even got his autograph. So that should show you that I showed some love to Duke only because I felt Luol Deng would have been a better player than he was instead of a crappy one in the NBA. I had higher hopes for Luol Deng at the time.
Well, I don't think he. I think he. I don't know. I think he somewhat lived up to his.
He lived up.
I think he could have averaged more points, but I think.
Yeah.
It was a different time. I don't know.
So what was funny was I was at River Center, went to Hooters, and when I ate at Hooters, coming out, UConn Huskies were there. Ben Gordon, Charlie Villanueva. There was another kid out there. It was Ben Gordon, Charlie Villanueva. I'll remember the other guy in a minute. I got to meet them as well.
Oh, nice.
But again, the Luol Deng thing, I have to admit, Tim Gonzalez is going to give me shit for it. I already know, but I did get to meet Luol Deng. Again, my stories are not tall tales. They're not Michael Jimenez stories where they're all made up or whatever, which he says they're not made up. But everybody says they're made up. I'm going to jump on everybody's bandwagon. Kawhi never said anything. Wemby talks. He has said he wants to play. If Wemby runs its ownership and management's fault, I want the Holtz to sell to Michael Dell, put his rebuild on billionaire time. The Spurs know they've got to do something with Wemby, man. They can't just allow him to just be here and ho-hum his way. I mean, this is definitely not a player that you want to just allow to waste the opportunity. But again, I don't expect anything this year. In 2024, I expect the first step. But 25, 26 is when I expect this team to just be balls to the wall ready. Fair or not fair?
No, yeah. I mean, they got to take a step. You want to show Wemby that, hey, you're going in the right direction. You're getting players, opportunities, whether that's Trae Young or other assets to come. But you have to start this offseason, Rudy. It's very important. If not,
you got to take a step, like you said.
A step, and look, players are gonna want to play with Wemby, Rudy. Mm-hmm. They're gonna want, because it's just so different. I know you hate the word generational talent, but look,
I don't hate it.
All I'm gonna say is he's different. He's a very unicorn, unique. Listen, if he in 5 years, if he has a jump shot like Kevin Durant, post moves in a post like David, I mean, it's not even gonna be fun, Rudy.
I don't hate the word generational talent. I just think I hate the fact that it's loosely thrown out there.
Oh, I don't use that on. There's only been a few players.
Not you, but I mean,
there's only been a few players. To me, MJ, Mike, Wilt, Kareem. That, to me, is very, very few guys. I think Shaq to me was a generational, player. But yeah, it's you don't see Wimby's on the street court, Rudy. They're in San Antonio.
And that's what I'm saying. I think he's generational, but again, it's how do you use generational? Because generational can be come in, dominate the league, but also help your team win. We've seen one of those happen. So
yeah, normally when you come in and David's first year, Duncan's first year, hey, they got to the playoffs, right? They made a decent run.
Mm-hmm.
I think Robinson's first playoff run, if I'm not mistaken, Rudy, did they lose to Portland? I think they lost to Portland in 7.
I don't think that was the Portland series. I don't think that was the Portland series.
Okay, maybe that's Robinson's second. I don't remember. But anyway, and then Duncan's first playoff series over the Suns, and then they run into the Jazz and they lose in 5. But look, Wemby, it's just not looking like they're going to make the playoffs clearly now, right? So you're looking forward to 2020.
You're definitely looking forward to it. Really,
next season. So, look, Spurs, please, as a Spurs fan for a long time.
Don't plead. Don't beg.
I don't live in San Antonio, so I'm not someone who obviously is,
don't beg.
Have silver and black rich in my blood because, that's the only team in town. I have other teams, Rudy. The Los Angeles Rams, whoop, whoop. The Georgia Bulldogs, 2-time champions.
Just up until recently, Georgia was
just good. Up until recently because the damn committee, you know what? The damn committee left us out. We should have been in that damn tournament, Rudy.
No.
Did you see what we did to Florida State?
I understand what you did.
Don't get me started on college football.
Jordan Travis plays that game. It's totally different. In fact, FSU is in the Final Four if Jordan Travis is playing.
If Jordan Travis plays, Georgia still wins. It may not be 60-something to whatever the hell the score was. Georgia's still going to win. I'm sorry. Alabama has a curse on us, whatever. Nick Saban's gone. So
Bama's done. I mean, Bama's done. But you cannot convince me that Georgia would have beaten FSU. FSU wouldn't even been in that game if Jordan Travis wasn't injured. They were the best. Gio, FSU was my pick to win the national title before the season. They were the best team in America pre-Jordan Travis injury. Don't lie. You got to at least admit it one time that I'm correct on that. FSU from top to bottom, defense to offense, was the best team in the country. Period.
Rudy.
Come on, Gio. Come on.
No. Rudy.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry, but I don't know.
You got it. You got to admit that. You have to.
If you look at their schedule, it's nothing. It's okay.
It doesn't matter.
It's okay.
They were beating teams the way they were supposed to beat teams.
They barely beat Clemson.
Oh my God, dude. Come on. FSU they were the best team pre-Jordan Travis.
Rudy, I'm sorry. I'm looking at their schedule. Look, it was cute. It was nice.
I like that it was cute. Come on, man.
But
come on.
Look, they barely beat Louisville, the 16-6. I mean, 16-9. I know Travis wasn't there, but
I'm telling you, people gave me shit. I'm telling you, FSU was my national championship.
Okay, their best win was against LSU. Okay, you got me there. But I'm sorry, Rudy. Travis plays against Georgia. Ain't no way Georgia's not losing that game. They're on a mission. Kirby Smart on that Florida State wanted to send a message to the committee.
Mm-hmm.
Now, next year, Georgia's going to be in it because it's, 12 teams next year?
Yeah, I think it's 12.
So the Dogs are going to be in the tournament. So you're going to keep us out this time. But I'm sorry. Georgia would have beat Washington. They probably would have beat Alabama. And
I don't know.
And Michigan, we would have beat Michigan again like we did 2 years ago. Did you remember that beatdown we gave them? You know what? Don't get me talking about SEC football because I get all hyped up about.
I know, but you know what? The committee got it right. They left out one SEC team. Sorry, it was your Bulldogs, but finally they decided the SEC is not going to run college football.
One more thing.
Hurry up, we got a commercial break. Hurry up.
Before we move on. Georgia was number 1 for how long, Rudy? And just because we lose one game, you're going to sit here and tell me that we weren't still, after losing one game by less than a touchdown, that we're not top 4 best team in the country? I'm sorry. Washington was a cute story up there. Michigan this, Alabama, Texas. I get all that. But you can't tell me that the back-to-back national champions lose one game.
Mm-hmm.
And how many weeks were they ranked number 1? And they're not in the top. I'm sorry.
Can I be full disclosure and full honest with you? The wrong SEC team was in the Final Four. I 100% admit. Bama should not have been in the Final Four.
Georgia should have taken care of business. And unfortunately,
I don't care. A Georgia lost to Alabama in the SEC title game doesn't bother me. Georgia still overtakes Bama. I don't care. And again, I fully 100% agree. Georgia should have been in regardless, win or lose. They should have been in 100%. I will admit to you on that, 100%.
Okay, good. I feel better now.
99 times out of 100, I would say that Bama did not deserve to be there.
I'll say the Georgia schedule is tough. They're going to Austin next year to play the Longhorns. I think they're going to Norman to play the Sooners, and they're also on the road at Tuscaloosa, Alabama. So Georgia has definitely its hands full next season when it comes to the SEC. I will be in one of those games. Maybe I'll head to Texas. I don't know if I want to go to Alabama country, Rudy. It's going to be real.
No, you don't.
It's going to be a really intense crowd there, but I'll be at one of those games.
Go ahead and come to Texas, man. Hey, this is Sweep the League. We're going to do another quick commercial break. We'll be right back. Coach Gio, Rudy Campos, Sweep the League. City Podcast Network on YouTube. We'll be back.
Locked on Spurs is your daily Spurs podcast, hosted by Jeff Garcia, the lead Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Jeff has a healthy plethora of guests all the time on the Locked on Spurs podcast. You can also follow Jeff on threads at Jeff G Ken's 5 SA. You can also follow Jeff on Twitter at Jeff G Spurs Zone. So make sure you go ahead and give Jeff a follow not only on threads and Twitter, but also on YouTube at youtube.com/@Locked on Spurs. This is where you're going to be able to find the replay of the Locked on Spurs podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share.
Yeah, follow Jeff Garcia, Locked on Spurs, part of the Locked on Network, at Jeff G Spurs on Twitter. Man, we got off the SEC talk and college football talk. We've been talking Wemby. We've been talking San Antonio Spurs, all that great stuff. And we've got some comments, but we still got to get to a lot of these comments. Tons of comments that we've got to get to here. Let's see. Apparently, Gio Duke could be in the 2-3 next month at the Staples Center. Very much so. I don't think you're going to go all the way to Staples. Let's see what we got. Now, this was kind of funny because you were talking about you got to give it to the Wemby. Remember when we were kids and we had a tall kid? The play was to give it to the tall kid every single time. It's always drop it down to Wemby, man. It's always drop it down to Wemby. I mean, for real, dude, going into the offseason, they got to take a step forward 100%, the San Antonio Spurs. Not only that, man, the reason why you don't want to give away that 2025 Hawks pick, because even if the Spurs don't get Trae Young, some other team's going to get Trae Young. He's not going to be a Hawk after this season. We can pretty much say, writing's on the wall. So Hawks are a lottery team. They only have one lottery pick that now belongs to these guys. So at all costs, you keep it. Why? Because they're going to be so bad that they're going to be competing with probably Detroit, Washington for worst record in the league. And it's only a 14% chance, but
imagine the Spurs get the number 1 pick again.
Are you talking this season or next?
No, I mean for the Hawks pick. Yeah.
That would be amazing. Now, again, the other part too is they're saying, well, who cares? Atlanta wants that pick back because it's Trae Young. They're rebuilding. They need it back. Okay. Well, who's to say the Spurs can't trade that pick after the lottery comes out? What if they get number 3 and there's really not a player there that you want? Then you can move that pick. Now, it's not to Atlanta, But you need to keep that pick regardless, dude. There's no way you move that Atlanta pick. That Atlanta pick, I think is too valuable, man. Way too valuable.
It's way too valuable. And this franchise right now, it's not, sure, they can make the AFC, but it's a franchise that over the last few years, ever since they went to the Eastern Conference Finals, hasn't really done anything. And they might be, I wouldn't say a full rebuild, Rudy, but it's looking like the future is Atlanta might start from scratch and really start getting away some of their players because they have a lot of guys on the books, a big contract. Could we see Murray back with the Spurs? It's possible. I mean, you never know, but I don't know.
Obviously, you'd rather have Trae Young.
Oh, no. Trae's the one you want, Rudy. Trae's the one you want, and anybody else in that team, I'm not really looking at.
It's tough, dude. It's tough because 2025, let me see, I've got a couple of prospects here. I mean, you've got obviously Cooper Flagg, the potential for Arias Bailey. He's another guy that you might want to look out for. There was a kid, Hugo Gonzalez. He's a small forward, man. That's a kid that I've been looking at lately. He's only 17 years old. Now, Hugo Gonzalez, keep him on your radar, Spurs fans. This kid he's good. He's really, really good. If you don't get Cooper Flagg and you still have a top pick, Hugo Gonzalez is a kid that I really have had my eyes on lately. So 2025, I mean, it's definitely, golly, he's a 3-and-D type of player. He's a really good prospect. I believe he plays, let me see, I got it here. He plays for Spain, I believe. Real Madrid. So Hugo Gonzalez is another good pick there. I think he can build a lot in 2025. Is it? I thought Cameron Boozer, but Benjamin Bornstein told me that Cameron Boozer will be the next class. So you have potential. Cameron Boozer, you have Cooper Flagg. I mean, I thought these were all going to come out in 2025. So Cooper Flagg's the only real, I think, not even generational. I hate using that word, but he's the next big deal to come out. 2025, super good year, I think, for NBA basketball, Spurs in general. That's where they're going to be that. But you got a lot of free agents, brother. A lot of free agents in 2025, man. That's what I'm saying. It's so big.
No, it's big, but as you said, Rudy, they got to start 2024. Make the fans happy. It may not be the biggest splash, but you got to do something.
Klay Thompson, just to make a move. Klay Thompson, like I've been saying that. Klay Thompson.
Yeah, I mean, Klay didn't he have a 30-point game the other night? I mean,
5, I believe, off the bench.
Someone put together a hell of a parlay. They had Klay Thompson scoring 30. Got his name. We talked about him on Friday from the Rising Stars. He had 30 points too.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Forgive me. I can't remember his name offhand, but I know who you're talking about.
He turned I think $300. Yeah, $300 until something like a ton of money. Is gambling legal there, Rudy?
No, not in Texas.
To me, it's crazy how Texas is not part of the FanDuel DraftKings. I mean, it's fun. It can be a little addicting, but
you can do fantasy stuff. You just can't do actual picks like money, like blind bets and all. I mean, you can under the table, wink, wink, and not going on, but yeah, it does happen. 2025. Now, these are potential draft. I mean, no draft picks, potential free agents. Again, the list is out. I mean, you have a lot of players that are going to have bird rights. You have a lot of players that have player options. You have a lot of players that may have already picked them up, but potentially, look at the list of 2025. You have LeBron James. Obviously, he's gonna be unrestricted free agent. You have Jimmy Butler, who has a player option, Gio. You have Paul George, who has his unrestricted free agent. Kyrie Irving has a player option. You have Jason Tatum with the player option. Donovan Mitchell, player option. Jamal Murray, player option. Brandon Ingram, unrestricted free agent. I mean, that's just to name a few. You've got Jalen Brunson with a player option. You've got so many guys that 2025, if they tend to opt out, that's why I scream 2025, because you have the Hawks pick. You have all of this cap space coming off. I mean, you're going to have so much cap space as of right now. The Spurs, let me see. I can get you the Spurs cap space going into 2025, as of right now, we're going to say, okay, they're only at 67.8 million. If the cap stays where it is at 140, 141, you're talking over 70 million in cap space. You mean to tell me you can't go get a Brandon Ingram to go with a Victor Wembanyama and possibly whoever you draft, or whoever you get a Klay Thompson to pair with, a Ingram or a Jalen Brunson or someone like that? I mean, there's so many free agents in that class. It's not even funny if they do test the free agent waters, man.
Hey, we've been saying it, Rudy. You got to test the waters. You got to bring the city some hope. You already have hope because you got a unicorn. But I was thinking, Rudy, before we move on.
What's
if you was to have Wemby train this offseason with the former NBA legend,
I'm not available.
with the former NBA legend, who are you picking? Out of all the great centers and even forwards, I guess he could meet up with, or anybody really, who are you saying, Wemby, you're going to spend the next several months, every single day, with this one legend?
Do you take the obvious answer out? Like Tim and David? Like, say we don't take a Spur because obviously they're...
Yeah, so
someone
else besides Tim, yeah.
The only person I can think of is Hakeem Olajuwon.
That's what I was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Hakeem would be the guy that, man, if you...
Imagine Wemby pulling off moves like the dream shake, the up and under. I mean, it's kind of weird because he doesn't really need the up and under because nobody's that tall to where you can actually get him off his feet. But I mean, yeah, Chris Gonzalez, Wemby with the dream, man. That can you imagine the moves that Hakeem could definitely,
because you look at Hakeem, he had the handles for his size. Hakeem was also a very good defensive player, and look, when he did to Shaq in the NBA Finals, Shaq always says, "Hey, he dominated me." And also, pains for me to say this, what he did to David. Now, listen, if you go back and look at that series, David played well. Like, it wasn't like David but man, you could put the highlights of the shake and the up and under, and I mean,
as a Spurs fan, you just like, yeah,
you can't. It's like you sit back and go, okay, well, that wasn't very good. David held his own. Spurs actually took that series to 6, almost 7. But yeah, I mean, look, with Dream, wow, like really, that would be a match made in heaven. And I mean, Dream is just, look, I think he doesn't get enough credit, Rudy. When we talk about great centers, we never mention Dream, Hakeem, but if you go look, especially in the 80s, Rudy, go look at his stats, man. Like, that Rocket team went to the finals with Sampson, and they ended up running into Larry Bird Celtics. But I mean, Hakeem was he was a real deal when he got in the 90s and he won back-to-back championships. Now, I will say this: Kenny always says it. They would beat the Bulls, and if it's any team in the 90s that I would give a shot, Rudy, Hakeem would be the guy, because they really didn't have any answer. I mean, who is it going to be? Horace, Luke Longley came in a few years later. Bill Cartwright, Rudy. They ain't nobody on that Bulls team. Now, there's no one on the Bulls team that could check Jordan, though. Vernon Maxwell was kind of nuts. I mean,
well, that's what I'm saying. If you give the Rockets Dream, you got to figure who takes care of Mike. Which, okay, so I'm going to give you a player on that team that could check Mike. Now, not stop him, but check him. Mario Elie.
Yeah.
Could check Mike. Can't stop him, but can check him. But then you go back to, can Robert Horry handle Scottie Pippen? Can Otis Thorpe handle Scottie Pippen?
Yeah, that's as much as Kenny makes all those things. I mean, Hakeem is obviously a great player, and they may not have an answer, but Hakeem can go for 30 and 40. But if Jordan goes for 30 and 40 plus Pippen,
cancels out.
It kind of cancels out, but I will say this: I think the Rockets would have had a good shot. Because I mean, look, the Knicks team, they took them to 7 games really that first time around. I mean, that Knicks team was good, but it was a really physical series with Patrick and all the boys they had there. And then the second time around, they did sweep the Magic. The Magic end up beating they beat the Bulls, right? Yeah. So, but that
was team, Orlando's best opportunity.
That was their best opportunity. Jordan, though, that was it was first year back, right? Like he came in mid-season, and he wasn't the MJ that he once was. And then you saw the next year, Jordan's back, Rudy. They sweep the Magic. They beat the Sonics. So sorry to talk about old times, but just,
we love talking old times. So Chris Gonzalez, are y'all talking early 90 Bulls or mid 90 Bulls? I mean, we're talking 90 Bulls in general.
I mean, Rodman's an X factor though, because he came later, right? So Rodman really, those battles he had with Malone, Rudy, were always kind of a funny, funny antics of him trying to get up and he would bring Malone down. Could Rodman get in Hakeem's way? It's possible, but Hakeem was still doing his thing. But you know what's crazy? Karl Malone, Rudy, his damn free throws. He couldn't hit damn free throws. Out of all the things that Karl couldn't do, the free throws was his kryptonite.
I think I would probably have given $100 to somebody who could tell me what the hell Karl said on the free throw line every time he shot the ball. I always tried to read that man's lips, and I couldn't figure out to save the life from me.
Apparently, it's rumored, and I don't know if it's true, but Scotty once made a comment to Karl. Says, "Hey, Karl, the mailman doesn't deliver on Sunday," or some type of comment like that. But there's so many teams that if Jordan's not there, they probably you got to think Karl wins one, right? Like, I just
I'm gonna go on a limb, dude. I'm gonna go on a limb here
because who do they play then? If it's not the Bulls, who's coming out of the East? I mean, the Knicks,
possibly.
The Miami Heat one year was the number 1 seed.
PJ Brown, Morning.
If it's not the Bulls, Rudy, if it's not the Bulls, honestly, I think the West wins more champ. I think the Jazz get 1.
And this is my problem, is that if you get, which team beats the Bulls between the Jazz or this other team, you may go Jazz, but I'll tell you one team that should have beat the Bulls. And it's not even Phoenix. Phoenix should have won. I'll give them that. Phoenix is way above everybody else with Barkley. That should have been a Suns title, no doubt. But the one team that missed their opportunity were the Sonics.
Oh, yeah.
That 1 year. I mean, Peyton and Kemp, that was their year. And you know what? Chris brings up a fantastic point. The Pacers was another team with Smith, Davis, Miller, Mark Jackson. I mean,
it took them to 7 games, Rudy. They were up. They were up in game 7.
Yes.
And the Bulls ended up coming back. You're right. That Pacer team, that was probably the best. Even though the Pacers went to the finals in 2001, that was probably the best Pacer team in 98. Because they were really humming. So if not, there's so many. I mean, the Jazz, the Rockets. I mean, the 95 Spurs, they were a really good team. But so many. I mean, the Portland teams were talented. I mean, listen, the Portland teams already are probably one of the most talented teams in the West.
Oh God.
And they had so many. I mean, they had Cliff Robinson, they had Buck Williams, they had
Cliff Robertson on the bench. On the bench, Cliff Robinson. Your starting 5 was Terry Porter, Clyde Drexler, Buck Williams, Jerome Kersey, Kevin Duckworth.
Yeah,
that was the starting 5. And then you're thinking, okay, I'm bringing Cliff Robinson off the bench. And again, Tim Gonzalez is Sonics. I totally agree. That's what I told Gio a little while ago, man. Out of the Sonics and Jazz, when they played the Bulls, the Sonics to me were prime to win that title. They were prime.
I mean, the Bulls they go up 3-1 in that series. Mm-hmm. No, 3-0. Sonics win 2 in a row.
Yeah.
But really, you're right. I thought the Suns had that team. Because remember, Barkley had that one road game where he was killing the Bulls.
I mean,
Barkley had a really good series.
The Suns was Barkley, Danny Ainge, who already had finals experience with the Celtics. I mean, he already won titles. He had Dan Marley.
Yeah.
I mean, for granted, Oliver Miller was not, the size that he is, right? But I mean, you had Oliver Miller, you had Richard Dumas was another guy that just came up and, playing outstanding ball. Was that Kevin Johnson too at the same time at point guard?
Yeah.
I think it was Kevin Johnson.
Yeah.
There was no reason for that team should have beat the Bulls, I felt. That Suns team should have beat the Bulls. That was, again, that was another thing where Jordan is magnificent, but another series where John Paxson makes that 3-point shot to win the game.
And then Charles hits I think he only hit an air ball that next play.
Yeah.
Another team, I mean, obviously we talk about the Knicks. Maybe I'm sure the Knicks maybe pull through with Pat Riley and get one. I mean, it's very possible. And maybe the Cavs get to an NBA Finals. They did play the Bulls one year in the Eastern Conference Finals. So it's possible the Cavs make a run. They could probably beat the – I mean, if the Bulls are not there, we could have had so many endless possibilities of teams because the Bulls obviously – they kept going to the finals. I think the Knicks won, and I think the Jazz won. I think that those two teams, I think they finally get over the hump. And I think Patrick Ewing hosts that trophy as he always wanted, but unfortunately, Rudy, when you're playing the Bulls, they broke a lot of hearts, man.
Those Cavs teams, I will live and die on that hill because when you talked about those Cavs teams, Mark Price, Brad Daugherty, Larry Nance, Craig Elo, Steve Kerr, Bobby Phills, Hot Rod Williams.
They had a really good run in the late 80s, and then obviously in the 90s, like I said, they made the Eastern Conference Finals. They had was it Lenny? No.
Ron Harper, another guy on that team.
Right, they had Harper, they had Wilkins at shooting. They had a lot of. See, Rudy, when I always talk about those teams being deep, those teams in the 80s and 90s, they were always deep teams. Obviously, less teams, so more players, but everybody knew their role. Everyone knew their role. They knew how to play their role.
Yeah.
In today's NBA, you watch any game, any Spurs game. You realize a lot of these guys don't know what they're just out there they're out there just playing ball.
Yeah, that's sad, man. Hey, man, we're done today sweeping the league. We talk more NBA. I love that we talk old school, but we need to do a whole show with Derek on the what ifs and the old school basketball stuff. I'm going to try to get some older guys in here so we can talk, maybe some older NBA players, shoot the shit with them. That way we can kind of get their stuff.
What if Shaq doesn't get drafted by the Magic? What if Shaq goes to, was it the Warriors? If he goes to the Warriors instead of.
What do you mean Warriors?
Was that the year Chris Webber got drafted? Or was it the following year?
Shaq was the following year. So the Warriors, the Orlando Magic got the first pick.
Who was the second pick that year?
Sean Bradley, I think. It was Sean Bradley.
So Shaq goes to Dallas.
It was Webber. It was Webber, Bradley, Penny Hardaway, and it was Orlando, Dallas. Orlando, Philadelphia, and then Golden State. That's how it went. Because I believe Bradley was a Philadelphia 70s. Wasn't he a 70s?
I think he was, Rudy.
Let me see. I can look it up real quick before we go because I'm thinking he was a Sixer when he was drafted.
Sean, Sean is he's paralyzed now. You know that, right, Rudy?
Yeah, I did. I do know that.
He got to that unfortunate
accident.
Sean Bradley got a lot of disrespectful heat, but I thought he was a good player in his time. But so many what ifs if Shaq doesn't leave Orlando, right? If he stays with Penny. I made an argument. So funny story. A few years ago, or could have been last year or year before, if the Magic are still on top and they play the 99 Spurs, Penny and Shaq at their apex, right? Like Shaq's already getting towards 2001 Shaq, and Penny still. Who wins? We can leave that for a different episode.
I think we need to because you're talking Penny, Shaq, Nick Anderson, Dennis Scott. Donald Roy, I think, was on that team. He was a contributor.
I think B.J. Armstrong would have been on that team too.
Horace Grant was on the team. And you're talking about 99 Spurs, so the first title Spurs with Ellie, Kersey, Robinson, Duncan, Elliott, Johnson, Jaren Jackson. Ooh, that's a good one.
Will Purdue, Rudy, don't forget him.
Purdue as well. Was it
Jaren Jackson?
Jaren Jackson. Danny Ferry was on that team.
I think Ferry came the following year, but yeah.
Was it? That's a good one because I honestly, truly would lean a little bit towards. Oh man,
it's a tough series. It's a tough series because
you know what? Let's tackle it on Wednesday when Derek's here.
Shaq.
That's tough.
It's a tough one because though Shaq's not 2001 Shaq yet, so Shaq's still good, right? I mean, the Spurs they swept the Lakers in the second round that year when Shaq was with the Lakers. So, but if Shaq says Apex and Penny's, to me, Penny's he's like the Kobe, right? Like he's the one.
Yeah.
Because
but you have two guys on the Spurs team in Sean Elliott and Mario Ellie that can make it tough for Penny Hardaway.
They can. Yeah. So many what ifs. It's you can kind of wish you go back in time. But yeah.
Yeah, I know, man. It's fun. It's fun. We lose track of time here, but nonetheless, we're gonna save that talk. We're gonna talk more NBA basketball, more old school NBA, because that's what we love to do here at Sweep the League. Again, follow us on YouTube. Search the Alamo City Podcast Network. Hit that subscribe button. Smash it. Do whatever you want. Just be sure to be a subscriber. We're gonna start giving away some stuff here from Sweep the League. Derek Irvin will be back on Wednesday. The Rock hopefully later on this week as well. Again. Hopefully YouTube doesn't, mess with us anymore so we can get back to our normal broadcasting here. But we will be back tomorrow from 2 to 3:30 on the YouTube, on the Alamo City Podcast Network. So for Coach Gio, I'm Rudy Campos Jr. Until we sweep the league again next time, we'll see you later, Knuckleheads.